Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll provide an overview of experimentation, covering how to set up an experiment and how to measure results of your experiment. Throughout the different stages, I'll be highlighting key takeaways as well as key watch-outs for each stage. How to set up an experiment. You have to remember that your experiment is part of your product discovery. So you always need to have a clear outcome that you're trying to drive and a clear problem that you're trying to solve with your experiment. So you will also have your problem statement. So assume you have your outcome and your problem. The next really important part of setting up an experiment are having a clear hypothesis. So hypothesis is pretty much the structure in which you're going to write the change, the impact in the customer. So the structure goes like, we believe that outcome will be achieved if target audience attain the benefit with a specific feature. We believe that an increase in 2% in conversion rate can be achieved if new customers can quickly understand that the product is good value for money by knowing that we offer free delivery. The hypothesis really helps you see the relationship between the feature, the customers you're going to target, the assumptions you're making, and the outcome. So for example, you're really making an assumption that free delivery is going to be a good representation of value for money. You have your control, and your variant is going to be what is the specific change you're going to drive in order to validate whether customers knowing about free delivery is actually going to help them convert better. We do an A/B test. You could do a multivariant. If you have multiple locations on the homepage, you believe you want to land this message, the copy, like the way you're going to present this. There's different ways to experiment. It's up to you and your team to decide what I believe is really important when you're writing the hypothesis, to actually have a go at the amount of impact the change is going to have. So in the example, I have 2% conversion uplift. You can have a go at that number. It could be made up, or it could be based on your previous experience, your previous experiments, or the impact that that change needs to achieve in order to be worth building. So if you leave it blank, let's say you run an experiment and the uplift is 0.5%, is that good? Is that really worth you building it out? So I believe that it's really good to have the thinking about the impact you want to achieve from this earlier, so then it will really help you with the decision. I would definitely suggest when you're setting up your experiment to have an experiment brief, so you clearly highlight the outcome you want to achieve, the problem you are solving, your hypothesis, and the specific structure of the experiments. What specific change will you actually make? You could also add designs in there. That could be really powerful. So then later in time, you'll be able to see what was the exact change. And then another really kind of more of a tip, what I would really say is have a think about what will you do if the change is positive, but is not the impact you thought it's going to be. What are your next steps? If the experiment is flat, what are you going to do? And if the experiment is negative, what are you going to do? So for example, do you believe that this area is worth investing in? Do you believe that you're going to iterate if it's flat or negative? Or do you believe that that actually proves to you that there's no value in pursuing that assumption or in pursuing that problem space? When it comes to experiment briefs, I would say product manager should lead on writing one, but you should definitely work with your product analyst, you should work with your product designer, you should work with your engineering team, and like everyone should have a shared understanding about what is the experiment we're running, what the value we believe we're going to get, and then when it comes to the results, you'll decide, you have a discussions together so that you keep your engineering team involved and you empower them to think about iterations. There are loads of tools you can use. There's loads of tools in the market that you can use to set up your experiments. So I would definitely encourage you to make sure that you find a tool that works best with the product you have. But there's a lot out there that will literally be able to plug in and then they'll be able to split out the traffic based on the different experiments you're driving. How to measure an experiment. It's really important when you're running an experiment to understand the amount of traffic you have, because you want all your experiments to be valid, which means reach significance. So that means that for each experiment, depending on the amount of change you want to drive, there's a certain number of customers that have to go through the journey so that you're able to actually take learnings from the experiment you're running. So I can put more information in my notes about how this is calculated, and your A/B testing tool should be able to help you to ultimately, the more traffic you have through your experiment is going to be quicker for you to get the results. After you run your experiment, you reach significance and you get your results back, I think it's really important to look, even if it's positive, negative or flat, it's important to look at, okay, overall result. Let's say it has led to a conversion uplift. Awesome, that's something to celebrate. You need to look at how much of a conversion uplift, what was the overall impact. Come back to your brief, decide, okay, is this impact big enough? Do we want to build it? Do we want to iterate? What are the decisions we need to make? I would also say that look at the end-to-end funnel. So when you have your experiments, you might also have secondary metrics. It would be really good to look at the analysis of the different touch points between the control and variant. Are there other engagements or other ways in which customers have used your product? Can you see differences in drop-offs at different stages? Are there other secondary metrics like average order value or number of items in your purchase that have been impacted from this experiment, even though conversion could be quite successful? If your experiment is negative, try to really look at data and come up with a list of hypotheses, and that could also drive the next set of changes or iterations you might want to take. In summary, experimentation is a really powerful tool for you to validate ideas with the lowest amount of effort from engineering perspective, and it's a way to really get quantifiable data on how much value and how are your changes being perceived by customers. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please subscribe for more product management content. Bye.